Hello. The true name or the real name that identifies our deliverer, creator, judge, lawgiver, king, master, Messiah is very important. And so let's have a conversation about the one name given under heaven to men, which by we must call upon for deliverance. We have to get it right. There's only one name out of billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of names. One name that we must call upon, and we better get it right. The job number one of Hashatan, or the devil, or the dragon, or the adversary, is to hide that one true name from us as deep as he can. He doesn't want us to know the true name, because if we find out the true name, we can find deliverance and forgiveness of our sins through that name by calling upon the true name. When you call upon the true name of the Creator, you get his attention real quick. Think about it. It's just like yourself. If you're walking down the road in a busy street, and people are talking all around you, a lot of noise, everybody's busy, scrambling around, going to jobs, shopping, talking, doing whatever, and all of a sudden somebody hollers out your name. Say your name is Steve, and someone hollers, "Steve!" You're going to stop dead in your tracks and turn around and say, "What? Who? What? Who's calling me? What?" Yeah, if you want to get the attention of the Creator, then you want to call upon his name, and you'll get his attention very quickly. So you have to know the name. So what I'd like to do is let's talk about, we hear a lot of different opposition or challenges or objections to the true name or the real name. And so I kind of like made a list of the top 5 that I hear the most. And let's go ahead and tackle them in order from the one I hear the most to the least. And I'm sure there's more, but I think we'll all get the point by the time we go through these 5. And the main thing is, hopefully, that we'll all feel comfortable with the true name and the real name enough to call upon it and use it frequently. Okay, and that's going to be the goal here behind this lesson or teaching or studying together, whatever you'd like to call it. Personally, I call it I'm teaching myself. Yahusha's teaching me through me, and then I watch these videos and get a better understanding of what Yahusha wants and expects from me. And y'all are invited to sit in on it, because I'm doing it out loud or openly and recording it. So you get to benefit as well. The first one is, most people, when you bring up the true name to them, point out that there's a true name or a Hebrew name of the deliverer. The first thing that usually we hear is, "We speak English, not Hebrew. We say his name in English. That's why we say the J-man or Jesus." Okay, that's probably the number one thing I hear. So what we need to kind of understand here is there's the true name of the Hebrew name is Yahusha in Yahuwah. Okay, and then there's a false name or an impostor a fictional name, or a usurper name, or a replacement name, or a deceiving name, identity thief type name, take a usurping the power and esteem of Yahuwah, and that name is Jesus, Jesus. And the thing of it is that it's the devil is using that to deceive the world and hide the true name and the real name of our Creator and Deliverer from the world. And he's doing it through a 3-tier deception. And the first level is by telling or teaching people, spreading the rumor or the falsehood that we're saying it in English. We're saying the Hebrew name Yahusha in English, and so it sounds like Jesus. That is a big, big, big lie. Okay, for number one, it's not an English name, so we can't be saying it in English. Okay, it's not a Hebrew name, so we can't be taking it from Hebrew into English. Jesus is actually a Greek name. It's got Greek origins. Okay, they're also, the second tier is that he is hiding the correct pronunciation of the Greek name. So the proper way to say Jesus in Greek, it's a Greek origin. It comes from Greek. It's a Greek name. The way that it is said in Greek, in the Greek lingo or language, is He-soos. Zeus. That's really the way you say it. They're hiding that. Okay, why are they hiding that? Because they know that if you pronounce it correctly, if they tell you it's a Greek name, and they like to tell you that some of them go crazy. They tell you that the Messiah was Greek or spoke Greek when he was walking the earth in Israel. That he spoke Greek. And they tell you that the original texts were written in Greek. That's all part of the deception. That's total lie. He spoke Hebrew. You could probably speak every language on the planet, I'm sure. But that's not the point. He spoke Hebrew, and he lived in Israel, and the original text was written by Hebrews for Hebrews in Hebrew. Okay? All the copies come off of the Hebrew text. Greek was copied off the Hebrew. All right? Don't let them fool you. So anyway, they're hiding the correct pronunciation of the Greek name. It's not Jesus, it's He-soos. He-soos. It really means Hail-Zeus. Okay? And so it's a term of praise. And when you say hail to anybody, that means you're praising. It's a praise to them. Okay, you're honoring them when you say that. So it's a term of praise. He-soos or Hail-Zeus. Okay. And the third level of deception is that we're really not praising or honoring Zeus because Zeus is a myth. Zeus is a fable, a myth. He's a fictional character. He's fake, fiction, fantasy, drained up. He comes from Greek mythology. That's what mythology means, myth, mythology. It means it's based on a myth, a made-up dream from men's mind. So he's not real. So who is being hailed or praised or honored when the name He-soos or Jesus, the improper pronunciation Jesus is said? On a deep level of a cult level, in a cult level, the deepest, darkest level or the highest level of deceit, people find out later on, many years down the road, that they've been calling on Zeus, which is really the devil. They've been calling on Hashatan, Hail, the fallen angel. That's who's hiding behind Zeus. That the name Zeus is the label is attached to Satan. All the other names of all the other pagan deities and myths from mythology, fictional characters and so forth, are labels that are attached to his demons. So when you say those names, you're hailing or praising some demon that wants to be praised and worshipped and honored. You know, so they're all attached to a demon. Zeus, though, specifically attached to Satan or Hashatan, the devil. That's at the deepest level of deception. Now, some people like to say that Zeus is real. He's some kind of a real deal, but he's not. He is a myth from Greek mythology. And let's look what see the dictionary here. Let's see what it says about Zeus. It says Zeus, a myth, right off the get-go, myth, the chief deity, son of Cronus and Rhea, and husband of Hera, identified with the Roman Jupiter. Boom. Okay, so that right there tells you immediately myth. Okay, and if we want to get a second opinion, look at this one. Look at that bad boy, unabridged. This one says Zeus, the supreme deity of the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks, son of Kronos and Rhea, and husband of Hera, identified by the Romans with Jupiter. Says the same thing. All right, two different dictionaries there, so that's what it is. And it goes back. Greeks have always worshipped Zeus. There's many names, names of the cities, names of other deities, Pegasus, Taurus, Olympus, all that stuff has a U.S. on the end of it, identifies with Zeus. It's always been their made-up myth god that they've always bowed down and worshiped, made statues of, made temples for, and everything like that. But that's always been their main honcho, okay, that myth Zeus. But it really is Satan, like I said. It goes even back into the time of the Maccabees, okay, when Syria and the Greeks, armies, whatever, took over the Promised Land, and they took over the temple, and they turned the temple into a temple for Zeus, and they were in there worshiping Zeus in that temple that was on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And the Maccabees had a revolt with guerrilla warfare. A remnant overthrew the Syrians and the Greek oppressors, threw them out. They took over and cleaned the temple all up and rededicated it to Yahuwah. Okay, so they were in there actually worshiping Zeus prior to the Maccabees taking it back. It just goes all, but it's way back into their history, so there's no doubt about it. Zeus, the name Zeus or Jesus, which is improperly pronounced because they're trying to trick you and into thinking it's an English name, and it's not. It's Greek. It's proven to be Greek because it goes back to Zeus. So if you want to find it, the proof of all that, go back into Greek mythology because that's the origins of that name. So that's where you have to head for if you really, really want to know. Or dig into that, go back to it. Jesus is a made-up name. It's just made up to hide the true pronunciation of who you're actually calling on, and that is Zeus. He-soos, Hail-Zeus. That's what you call now when you say Jesus. It's a fact. Every religion worship, they say that every religion in the world is worshiping the same God. But it's just in different ways, and they call him by different names, but it's all the same God. And this shows how great he is. This doesn't degrade him, it shows his greatness. And this is all goes back. This is kind of like where this coexistent crowd is coming from, in our modern era. And that's all a lie too. There's only one creator, one judge, one lawgiver that can save or destroy, and his name is Yahuwah. Okay, so that's all a lie. There's one living Elohim. One living Elohim. The one living Elohim, his name is Yahuwah. Yahuwah is one. So don't let them fool you on that. Now we can go to Scripture, and if we go into 1 Kings, we can read about Elijah. And here's how you know. These people say that Zeus or God or LRD are real deities. Baal or Bel is a real deity. He was not. And Elijah proved that at Mount Carmel. He proved that. So let's read about it here a little bit. It's in 1 Kings 18. Verse 17 we'll start out at. And it came to be when Achab saw Elijah that Achab said to him, "Is that you, O disturber of Israel?" And he answered, "I have not disturbed Israel, but you in your father's house, in that you have forsaken the commands of Yahuwah, and you have followed the Baalim. And now send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, the 450 prophets of Baal, or Baal, and the 400 prophets of Asherah." So that's 850 prophets of all, or priests, whatever you want to call them, who eat at Isabel's table. So Isabel must have been the leader of all these prophets, false prophets of Baal. Achab then sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets on Mount Carmel. And Elisha came to all the people and said, "How long would you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahuwah is Elohim, follow him. And if Baal, or Lord, is Elohim, follow him." So in today's era, we could say, if Yahuwah is Elohim, follow him. If Jesus or He-soos is Elohim, then follow him. Okay, to blow you off like Elijah did. We'll skip down here a little bit, and it says, "And Elijah said to the prophets of Baal," they're up on Mount Carmel now, "Choose one bull for yourselves and prepare it first, for you are many. And call on the name of your mighty one, but set no fire." So they took the bull which was given them and prepared it and called on the name of Baal from morning, evening till noon, saying, so in the morning till noon, they're doing this, saying, "O Baal, answer us. Lord, answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered, because he's not real. Zeus is not real. None of them are real. And they leaped about the altar which they had made. So they started leaping around, dancing, and going nuts. And it came to be at noon that Elijah taunted them and said, so he started taunting them about it. And he said, "Cry out loud, why don't you? For he is your mighty one. He is meditating perhaps, or maybe he's busy, or he is on a journey somewhere. Or could it be that he is asleep and has to be awakened. And they did. They cried out and even started cutting themselves with knives, cutting their flesh, and jumping around like a bunch of banshees. They cut themselves according to their ruling with knives and spears until the blood gushed out of them. And that blood coming all over the place. And it came to be when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of bringing the evening offering. So they're going from morning to almost night. They're doing this crazy, trying to get this Baal or Lord or Zeus, He-soos, to talk to them or light this fire. And they're not hearing nothing. Nothing's happening. They're doing everything they can do. But there was no voice. No voice. And no one answered. And no one paying attention. So the people, the Israelites, stopped paying attention. So they got tired of watching it. And so Elijah said to all the people, "Come closer to me." And all the people came closer, and he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. And he took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of Yahuwah had come, saying, "Israel is your name." Okay, so it goes on down here, and he had water around the altar, and he filled the trench with water. Okay, so the trench around it. It came to be at the evening time when they brought in the evening offering that Elijah the prophet came near and said, "Yahuwah Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, let it be known today, you are Elohim in Israel, and I your servant have done all these things by your word. Answer me, O Yahuwah, answer me, and let these people know that you are Yahuwah Elohim, and you shall turn their hearts back to you again." Then the fire of Yahuwah fell and consumed the burnt offering and the wood and the stones and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. And all the people saw and fell on their faces and said, "Yahuwah, Yahuwah, he is the Elohim. Yahuwah, he is the Elohim." So there you go. It's not real, man. Even their 850 priests and prophets of Isabel couldn't get Baal or Lord or God or He-soos or Jesus to speak. All right? Because he's not real. Satan's the one that you're really worshiping. Don't forget that. So anyway, number 2, they say, when you mention the true name, they say that the KJV is inspired and all other translations are heresy. So since the name Yahusha doesn't appear in the New Testament at all, or the Old Testament of the KJV, then it can't be correct. The only name they see in the King James that they claim to be as inspired is Jesus. All right. So, this is something that you have to understand, that the KJV is not inspired. It's a translation. Anytime you can read in a Bible, and it says that it's a translation, that word immediately signals that it is copied. It's a translation. It was copied by some scribe or translator that injected his interpretation from one language into his language. Okay? And over the years, the centuries, okay, the KJV, which was mostly translated from the Latin Vulgate, carried over a lot of the errors. okay, from the copyists that was going from one language to another, Hebrew to Greek, through a bunch of Greek, different revisions of Greek, even into Latin, German, Old English, many English translations. But anyways, the King James Version didn't come out till 1611. All right, and it's a translation. It's not inspired. It contains a lot of different errors, especially pronunciation errors, and they've replaced the true name of the Creator 6,823 times, and the name of Yahusha 216 times, I do believe, and so forth and so on, nearly 7,000 times altogether, and with devices, and so that's why you don't see the Hebrew name. They've usurped the children of Israel's position. It's called replacement theology or supersessionism. They've even came out with portraits depicting the Messiah as a European, a white Anglo-Saxon type person, instead of somebody from the Middle East, which surely would have dark skin, brown skin, if not closer to black. So, you can believe it if you want to, but no, they've replaced it all to make it fit into their their race, into their interpretation, or the way they want it to be, and make them feel more comfortable about the Jewish Messiah. They make him to look more like them, their nationality, their race, their train of thought, into their traditions. They engulfed him into their traditions, which were pagan. Okay, so no, it's not. The King James is not inspired, and that's the reason you don't find the Hebrew name is because they tried to genocide the Hebrews. All the crusades that come out of Europe, especially Rome, out of the Catholicism, and went over there and tried to wipe out everything that was against Catholicism, Muslims and Jews alike. Okay, so, and there was a lot of crusades. I don't know, I think the count's 13 plus. I don't know, a lot. They burnt up everything that was Jewish, man. I mean, they burnt down the libraries, killed the teachers, destroyed the writings, destroyed the homes, anything and everything that had to do with Judaism or Hebrews or Israel or different writings. They tried to destroy it because they wanted to usurper create their own religion based on their culture and traditions, in which they did. It's exactly what they did. That's why you don't find hardly anything Hebrew. They're trying to hide it. Doing a real good job of it too, apparently. The devil's got the whole world deceived, for sure. Anyway, let's go into number 3. He doesn't care what name you call him. Names don't matter anyway. And then some of them say, what's the definition of a bean? Like that's supposed to mean something, prove something. Who knows? A name is an identifier, a precise identifier for individuals. All right? Names are extremely important for identifying who you are or who someone else is. Without a name, okay, you're not going to get anybody's attention. What are you going to do? Hey, you, and you got 10,000 people walking down the street. They're all going to just keep walking, You got to know their name to get them to stop and turn around and listen to you. Same with Yahusha. You got to know his name if you want him to stop and take a look at you and incline his ear toward you the way you want. Can't call on any name you want to. You're not allowed to name him. Well, who you think you are? His daddy? It's kind of the other way around, I do believe. The fact is, he does care about his name. He does love his name. And I think it's very easy to prove that in scriptures. His name is important. So let's go through it a little bit and see what we can find out on that. Let's start off with Malachi 4. Then shall those who fear Yahuwah speak to one another, and Yahuwah will listen and hear. And a book of remembrance be written before him of those who fear Yahuwah and those who think upon his name. And they shall be mine, said Yahuwah Zebuath, on the yom that I prepare a treasured possession. And I shall spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. Then you shall again see the difference between the righteous and the wrong, between one who serves Elohim and one who does not serve him. So, name is very important. If you think upon his name, his true real name, it can get you into the book of remembrance as his treasured possession. So that right there alone, we stop right there. That's good enough for me right there, man. Okay, you think upon his name and fear him, he'll put you down in the book of remembrance as a treasured possession. Why you want to call him by any other name now when you know that? But let's just move on. For these stiff-necked people out there that want to keep calling him He-soos, it's not Jesus. It's not an English name. You're not allowed to say it, Jesus. If you want to call him by that name, that Greek name, pronounce it correctly. He-soos. That's the name of your deity. He-soos. Get him to answer to you if he's real. Watch out, though. You may be calling on an evil spirit. Unknowingly, could be Ha-Satan answering to that name. So you better watch out. Anyway, let's go to John 5. And you do not have his word staying in you, because you do not believe him whom he sent. You search the scriptures because you think you possess everlasting life in them. And these are the ones that bear witness of me. But you do not desire to come to me in order to possess life. I do not receive esteem from men, but I know you, that you do not have the love of Elohim in you. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you would receive. And Jesus is the name he's talking about, and he said someone comes in his own name. That's who he's warning you about. Okay, he coming in his Father's name, and you don't receive him. So that names are important. You can't if you get the name wrong, okay, you're receiving someone else. It ain't him. All right, let's go to John 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in Elohim. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it not, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be too. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. And Thomas said to him, Master, we do not know where you are going, and how are we able to know the way? And Yahusha said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father too. From now on you know him and have seen him. Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. Yahusha said to him, Have I been with you so long, and you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. And how do you say, Show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak from myself, but the Father who stays in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the words themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, He who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also, and greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that I shall do, in order that the Father might be esteemed in the Son. If you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. If you love me, you shall guard my commands. So here we find out that you got to call on his name. You got to know the real name. Acts 2:38. Men, brothers, what shall we do? And Kepha said to them, repent and let each one of you be immersed in the name of Yahusha Mashiach for the forgiveness of sins. And you shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. For the promises to you and to your children and to all who are far off, as many as Yahuwah or Elohim shall call. So there you go. You got to call on Yahusha Mashiach for deliverance and repentance and forgiveness. It's a pretty important name there. Acts 4:12. And there is no deliverance in anyone else, for there is no other name under the heaven given among men by which we need to be delivered. And they just told you what the name was over in Acts 2:38. It's Yahusha Mashiach. That is the one name out of billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of names that you have to call on for forgiveness and deliverance. You have to know that name. Stop calling him by a Greek name of a myth, made-up myth from mythology, Greek mythology, Zeus. Stop calling him Zeus. That's what you're calling him. Matthew 7. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the shamayim, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the shamayim. Many shall say to me in that yom, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Right there, man. They're casting out demons. They're doing prophesying. They're doing mighty works in your name. It's in the name of the J-man. Okay? And he said, I don't know you. All right? So there, you take that for what it's worth. Your name. They say they're talking straight to him. And these are a group of believers because they're saying they know him because they're doing everything in his name. Talking directly to Yahusha, the Messiah. A group of believers. And he looks right at them and says, depart from me, I never knew you. So apparently then, the only thing that makes any sense whatsoever out of that passage is that they were calling on the wrong name. They weren't calling him by his name, so he didn't pay them any attention. He didn't know them. He's not listening to you when you call by that false name, in other words. It's the only thing that makes sense out of that passage. Read it for yourself 100 times. Figure it out. Matthew 28. Therefore, go and make Talmudim, or students of all the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Ruach HaKodesh, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always until the end of the age. Amen. And here he's telling them to go out and make students of all the nations, and they have to be immersed in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Ruach HaKodesh. In the name, not names, name, singular. They all have the same name. Yahuwah. That's it. Ain't no other name. That's it. All three of them have the same name. The Ruach HaKodesh is truth. Yahusha is truth. And Yahuwah is truth. And his scriptures, the word of truth is truth. Okay? And they only got one name. Yahuwah. Go to Colossians 2. See to it that no one makes a prey of you through philosophy and empty deceit. Philosophy is in Greek mythology, perhaps. according to the traditions of men. Oh, traditions of men. Yeah, they must be Greek mythology. According to the elementary things of the world. Wow. And not according to the Mashiach. See that? It doesn't have anything to do with the Mashiach. Because in him dwells all the fullness of Yahuwah bodily. And you have been made complete in him, who is the head of all principality and authority. In him you were also circumcised with a circumcision not made with hands, in the putting off of the body of the sins of the flesh, by the circumcision of Mashiach, having been buried with him in immersion, in which you were also raised with him through the belief in the working of Yahuwah, who raised him from the dead. And you being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, he has made alive together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, and having blotted out the certificate of debt against us by the dogmas which stood against us. But above all these put on love, which is a bond of the perfection, and let the peace of Yahuwah rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be filled with thanks. Let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing with pleasure in your hearts to the Master in psalms and songs of praise and Ruach-like songs. Whatever you do, in word or deed, do all in the name of the Master Yahusha, giving thanks to Yahuwah the Father through him. So everything you do in word and deed, you have to do it in the name of Yahusha. Revelations 3. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one is able to shut it, that you have little power, yet have guarded my word, and have not denied my name. Wow. Revelations 14. And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written upon their foreheads. So the 144,000, the remnant, is sealed with his name on their forehead. The behemoth that you saw was and is not, and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep, and goes to destruction. And those dwelling on the earth, whose names are not written in the scroll of life from the foundation of the world, shall marvel when they see the behemoth that was and is not and yet is. Your name is so important because it's going to be written in the book of life. And I saw a renewed and death and the grave were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the scroll of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. You want your name to be written correctly and called in the roll call, called out correctly when he calls out the book of life, the names in the book of life or the book of remembrance? I bet you do. So names are important. So don't ever say names aren't important again, because that right there just proved that to be a lie. Names are extremely important, especially the name of Yahusha. Extremely important. Number 4 is nobody knows how it sounded back then, so we shouldn't use it. This is not even close to being true. Josephus has it in the War of the Jews. He was a first century historian writer. He wrote that he actually saw the headband on the high priest and had 4 vowels written upon it, which was the name of Yahuwah of Elohim. 4 vowels. And the vowels were Yod, Hey, 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 okay? And when you pronounce them, you sound those out. They sound like short vowels in our language, not long vowels, but the short vowels, okay? And so the Yah, the Y, the H, and the U and the H. Not a W. That's modern invention, okay, around the 13th century or so. There's no W in Hebrew. There's no V. There's no E. There's no F. There's no I. There's no J. There's no O. And there's no X in the Hebrew alphabet. There ain't no W in the tetragrammaton. There's just a U. It's Y-H-U-H. So if you sound it out, ah. Ah. You know, that's how you sound that out, and they came up with Yahuwah. That's how you know how to pronounce it, by using the short vowel sounds in our language. Try it. The Septuagint, the very first Septuagint that was translated from Hebrew into Greek by a bunch of Levites or Hebrew priests or rabbis, had the name of Paleo Hebrew on the front cover, and all through the text. They didn't change it until they revised it. The Greeks revised it, then they changed it. But the very first copy, they had the Paleo Hebrew name of Yahuwah written in it. And then the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls has the Paleo Hebrew name and the modern Hebrew or the Aramaic name written all over them. At the 4 vowels, okay? The Y-H-U-H. Yod, Hey, Hey. That's okay. So there's proof of it, and so we know how to say it, and we need to say it. We need to use the proper pronunciation of the true, real name of our Creator, Yahuwah. We know how to say it. So use it. Maybe different accents, but nevertheless, the sound is the same. Accents may be different if you're from the north or from the south or from the west or something, or if you're in a foreign country, but nevertheless, the sound is the same. Ignore the accent. Number 5, why haven't I ever heard of that before? I've never heard of that name before. You can't even show me that anywhere in the Bible. Well, the reason you haven't heard it before is because they've replaced it. They even admit that they have replaced it with what they call a device. Okay? If you've never heard that before, then let's read it ourselves. Here. We want to take one of the English copies and read the preface to you, and they admit to replacing it with a device. Here we go. In regard to the divine name, and they have YHWH. That's an error. It's a U, not a W. In regard to the divine name, Yahuwah, commonly referred to as the Tetragrammaton, the translators adopted the device, D-E-V-I-C-E, used in most English versions of rendering that name as L-O-R-D in capital letters to distinguish it from Adoni, another Hebrew word rendered L-O-R-D, for which small letters are used. Whenever the two names stand together in the Old Testament as a compound name of God, they are rendered sovereign, L-O-R-D. Because for most readers today, the phrases the L-O-R-D of host and the G-O-D of host have little meaning. This version renders them the L-O-R-D Almighty and G-O-D Almighty. These renderings convey the sense of the Hebrew, namely, He who is sovereign over all the hosts or powers in heaven and on earth, especially over the hosts or the armies of Israel. For readers unacquainted with Hebrew, this does not make clear the distinction between Sabaoth, a host or almighty, and Shaddai, which can be translated almighty, but the latter occurs infrequently and is always footnoted. When Adoni, YHWH, and Sabaoth occur together, they are rendered as the Lord Almighty. There you go, man. They admit to it. David translators adopt the device used in most English versions of rendering that name as Lord. So, what's a device? Let's go to the dictionary. See what device means. This is what they've replaced the true name with, a device. They just omitted it in their preface. That's NIV, by the way. A division, a will, a thing devised, a plan, a scheme, a sly or underhanded scheme, a trick, an invention, or contrivance, a mechanical one for some specific purpose. That's pretty nutty there. Device. That which is formed by design or invented, a scheme, artificial, contrivance, stratagem, project. Sometimes it's good sense. More generally, though, it is in a bad sense, as artifices are usually employed for bad purposes. In a bad sense, he disapproveth the devices of the crafty. In Job. That's in that dictionary right there. See it? The Christian dictionary tells you that. So you can't say it's not a Christian diction. It's not in a Christian dictionary because I just read it out of one. Here we go. Second College Edition. Device. To work out or create something by thinking, contrive, plan, invent. Law to bequeath. To make secret plans for, to plot, to scheme. So it doesn't sound like it's a good thing, does it? There you go. Webster's all-in-one dictionary and thesaurus. See what it has to say about it. Device. A scheme to deceive. Wow. A scheme to deceive? What? A scheme to deceive. That's what it says. A piece of equipment or a mechanical for a special purpose. We know it's not that. There we go. Artifice, dodge, a gimmick, a ploy, a scheme, a sleight, a stratagem, a trick, a wily scheme, implement, instrument, tool. It's none of that. So there it is, man. It's obviously it's a scheme to deceive. Okay, that's what it is. It's in there. It's right there. Right there. You see it? A scheme to deceive. That's what they just said. They replaced the name of Yahuwah with. It was a device, a scheme to deceive. Whoa, the lights are coming on. Woo-hoo. I got a question now for you, or those that don't want to accept the true name. And my question for those who argue against the true name or the real name Yahusha is this: what do you have against his true Hebrew name? What do you have against his true, real Hebrew name? Yahusha. You know, I love the sound of that name. I love it. When I first heard it, I loved it. And I still love it. So anyway, I hope this helps you understand how important names really are, how important to know the true, real name of our Creator and Deliverer is. And I hope I have convinced you to start calling upon the true name. And if you've been baptized or immersed in that false name, that Greek name, He-soos, you need to be rebaptized, re-immerse yourself in the true name of the true deliverer, Yahusha. When you call upon his name for forgiveness of your sins and deliverance, he'll hear you when you call upon his true name, Yahusha. So go do it. Use it. Be delivered. Thank you for watching, folks. And remember to stay in love with Yahusha HaMashiach. So long, beloved of Yahuwah. So long, Nazarene.
Yahusha, living water, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living water, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem